Gymnastics is often seen as something elegant and controlled, but the truth is that it's one of the most dangerous sports in the world. Behind the twists and perfect landings are moments of risk that most people never see. In this video, we dive into 5 true stories where things went terribly wrong. These are the most disturbing deaths in gymnastics ever recorded. Stories that expose the deadly side of a sport built on perfection. It was May of 1988 in Tokyo, Japan. Julissa Gomez, a 15-year-old gymnast from the United States, was preparing for the vault finals at the World Sports Fair. She had already made a name for herself in national competitions and was seen as a strong candidate for the upcoming 1988 U.S. Olympic team. This was a big step in her rising career. Julissa was known for her focus and strong work ethic. She wasn't flashy or loud, but she was always committed. She was born on November 4th, 1972 in San Antonio, Texas. Julissa was the daughter of Otilia and Ramiro Gomez, 2 former farm workers who had worked hard to give their children a better life. Her love for gymnastics began at age 5, and by 10, she was already training with the famous coach Bella Caroli in Houston. She quickly rose through the levels. In 1986, she placed 4th in the all-around at the U.S. National Championships and earned a spot on the national team. By the next year, she was competing internationally. Her best events were uneven bars and balance beam, but it was the vault that became the focus of her career. In 1987, Julissa left Caroli's gym, frustrated with his intense training style, and moved to train with Al Fong in Blue Springs, Missouri. Fong had a different approach, more patient and supportive, and he became an important figure in Julissa's life. As the 1988 Olympics drew near, Julissa began working on the Yurchenko vault, one of the most difficult and dangerous skills in gymnastics. It required a back handspring onto the springboard, followed by a back handspring with hands onto the vaulting horse. Although she had natural talent, Julissa struggled with this move. Her form was inconsistent, and both her coaches and teammates noticed. Even so, she was pushed to keep practicing it and to perform it in competition. On May 5th, 1988, during warm-ups for the vault finals in Tokyo, something went horribly wrong. As she sprinted toward the vault, her foot slipped. She lost control and smashed headfirst into the vaulting horse. The injury was immediate and severe. Julissa's neck broke, leaving her paralyzed from the neck down. Coach Fong, who had believed in her potential, watched in horror. Later, he questioned the pressure placed on young athletes to master such risky skills. Julissa was rushed to a hospital. Her parents flew from Texas to Japan to be at her side. Doctors tried to stabilize her, but her condition worsened when she became disconnected from her ventilator. The lack of oxygen caused severe brain damage, and she slipped into a coma. Julissa remained in a catatonic state, able only to blink. Her injury was rare in gymnastics. Unlike common sprains or fractures, spinal injuries of this type were almost unheard of. Her family continued caring for her for 3 years, but on August 8, 1991, she died at the age of 18 due to complications from her injury. Julissa's death shocked the gymnastics world and led to major safety changes. The International Gymnastics Federation made U-shaped spring mats mandatory during competitions, not just practices. These mats gave gymnasts more support and a safer landing zone. The vaulting horse was also replaced by a larger and more stable vaulting table to prevent future accidents. Another new rule was added. Any gymnast performing a Yurchenko without proper safety mats would receive a score of 0. These changes were made directly in response to what happened to Julissa. Coach Fong later spoke about the dangers of the sport, saying that gymnasts must be aware of the risks, but stay focused on their goals. Julissa's teammates honored her by dedicating their season to her. Her parents also shared a message encouraging young athletes to keep pursuing their dreams, just like their daughter had. The life of Julissa Gomez was full of potential. Her legacy lives on not only in the safety changes that now protect athletes, but also in the memories of those who knew her and were inspired by her strength. It was July 3rd, 1980 in Minsk, just 2 weeks before the Moscow Olympics. Elena Mukhina, a 20-year-old Soviet gymnast, was training at the Palace of Sports in Minsk. That was supposed to be her moment to shine. But what happened that day would change her life forever. Elena had already reached the top of her sport. In 1978, she won the gold medal in the all-around at the World Championships in Strasbourg. defeating legends like Nadia Comaneci and Nelly Kim. Many believed she would lead the Soviet team at the upcoming Olympics, but behind her success was a brutal system that demanded perfection from its athletes, even at the cost of their health. At that time, Elena was still recovering from a broken leg that had sidelined her the year before. She needed rest, but her coaches didn't allow it. They removed her cast too soon and forced her to lose weight quickly. Despite the pain and weakness, they pushed her to train hard. They also ordered her to learn a risky tumbling move called the Thomas Salto. It was a difficult move, originally created for male gymnasts, and very few women had attempted it. Elena told her coach, Mikhail Klemenko, that it was too dangerous. She warned again and again that she could be seriously injured, but her concerns were ignored. Her coach insisted the move was necessary if she wanted to stay on the team. Elena, still injured and under pressure, felt trapped. If she didn't perform the move, she would likely lose her spot to another gymnast. So, on July 3rd, 1980, Elena attempted the Thomas Salto during a training session. She failed to complete the rotation and landed on her chin. The impact broke her neck and left her paralyzed from the neck down. Immediately after the accident, Soviet sports officials tried to cover up what had really happened. They told the media that Elena had fallen off the balance beam or had tripped while running toward the vault. In reality, she had fallen while performing the Thomas Salto, the very move she had warned against. Officials blamed Elena, saying she wasn't ready for such a skill, but they ignored the fact that she had been forced to do it. A media campaign portrayed her as careless, when in truth, she had done everything she could to avoid the injury. Later, Elena spoke about the pressure she faced. She said she had warned her coaches many times that she could break her neck doing that move. It was going to happen, she said. I had already been injured several times, but they never listened. Elena spent the rest of her life in a wheelchair. The gymnast who once amazed the world now had to relearn how to eat, dress, and speak. She lived with constant pain, and her emotional health also declined. She withdrew from the world, cared for by her grandmother, and later by a former gymnast, Elena Gurina. In interviews, Elena criticized the Soviet system that treated athletes as tools for national pride. She believed victories mattered more than human lives. Even so, she felt her coach was also a victim of that system, someone who was only following orders. Her injury deeply affected those around her. Nelly Kim, a teammate, said she was shocked. She wondered why Elena had been forced to do something for which she didn't have the strength. After seeing what happened, Kim decided to retire after the 1980 Olympics. Elena later received honors such as the Order of the Badge of Honor and the Silver Medal of the Olympic Order, but they did little to make up for her suffering. On December 22, 2006, Elena Mukina died at age 46 due to complications from her injury. Her story is one of talent, pressure, and a system that failed to protect its athletes, and though she is gone, the gymnastics world still remembers her. It was November 8, 2019 in Hamden, Connecticut. Melanie Coleman, a 20-year-old gymnast at Southern Connecticut State University, was practicing at the New Era Gymnastics facility. She had years of experience on the uneven bars, an event she had trained for throughout her career. But during what should have been a normal session, something unexpected happened. Melanie slipped and fell. The fall caused a severe spinal cord injury. Melanie had been involved in gymnastics her whole life. She was well known for her skill, discipline, and kind personality. She wasn't just an athlete, she was also a nursing student, following the same career path as her two older sisters. Earlier that year, she had been named an Academic All-American by the Women's Collegiate Gymnastics Association, an award that recognized both her athletic and academic efforts. Her coach, Thomas Alberti, had worked with her for nearly 10 years. He was one of the first to reach her after the fall. Others in the gym also rushed to help, providing emergency care until paramedics arrived. Melanie was rushed to Yale New Haven Hospital, where doctors did everything they could, but the injuries were too severe. On November 10th, just 2 days later, Melanie died. Her death shocked everyone: family, friends, teammates, and the entire gymnastics community. Accidents like this are extremely rare in the sport, especially for someone with Melanie's experience. She was admired not only for her talent, but for her supportive attitude and kindness. She volunteered to teach gymnastics to children, helping kids between the ages of 2 and 15 at New Era Gymnastics. Many of them saw her as a role model. Melanie grew up in Milford, Connecticut. Gymnastics was part of her family life. Her mother and sisters had also competed, and one of her sisters had even been her teammate at Southern Connecticut. The Coleman family was close, and Melanie was seen as the heart of that bond. Her mother, Susan, said in an interview, "We spent every day together for the last 20 years. We're going to leave an empty space in our photos for her." Her accident was described as a rare accident by those who knew her. It wasn't due to carelessness, bad equipment, or unsafe conditions. The gym where it happened had always been considered safe and reliable. Even Coach Alberti said he couldn't understand how such a tragic event could happen during a normal practice. He remembered her as a natural leader and someone who helped others without needing recognition. She didn't care about winning or scores, he said. She wanted everyone to succeed, not just herself. Former coach Jerry Nelson also spoke about her, calling her a true team player and a pleasure to coach. Melanie always stood out, not just for her skills, but for her strong character. At Jonathan Law High School, she received state honors, was team captain, and was named Most Valuable Player. She even competed in the U.S. Junior Olympic program. In college, she continued to earn recognition and respect. After her death, the community came together to support the family. A GoFundMe campaign raised over $65,000 in just a few days to help the Colemans with expenses. Melanie's family later shared that she had chosen to be an organ donor. Through this decision, she gave others a second chance at life. Southern Connecticut's athletic director Jay Moran said, "Melanie was a bright student, an excellent athlete, and a beloved part of our community. Her loss has been devastating." The life of Melanie Coleman ended far too soon, but the impact she left continues to be felt among her family, her teammates, her coaches, and the many young gymnasts who looked up to her. It was July 26, 1994, in Kansas City, Missouri. Christina Christie Renee Henrich, a former U.S. national gymnast, died at age 22 after a long battle with severe health problems related to eating disorders. Her body had become so weakened that it could not recover, and she died of multiple organ failure. She was once one of the best gymnasts in the country, and Christie's story would later expose the dangerous pressure faced by young athletes, especially female gymnasts. Born July 18, 1972, Christie was recognized early for her talent and dedication. Standing only 4'10", she was small but powerful. She began competing nationally at 14. In 1986, she earned a place on the U.S. national gymnastics team after placing 5th in the junior division at the U.S. Nationals. By 1989, she was one of the most promising gymnasts in the country. That year, she competed at the World Championships in Stuttgart, Germany, where the U.S. team placed 4th. Christie nearly medaled on the uneven bars. But despite her strong performances, the pressure to look a certain way was already affecting her. In elite gymnastics, being small and thin is considered as important as being talented. Christie didn't fully fit the mold of the sport's ideal body type. The most damaging moment came at the 1988 World Championships in Budapest, Hungary. A judge told Christie she needed to lose weight if she wanted to make the Olympic team. At that time, she weighed around 95 pounds, already very light. The comment cut deeply, leading to years of unhealthy behaviors related to her weight and body image. Christie began extreme dieting, eventually developing destructive habits that harmed both her body and mind. Her weight began to drop quickly, but instead of stopping, she pushed herself further to keep competing. Her health was deteriorating, though it wasn't obvious to everyone at first. Her longtime coach, Al Fong, who had also coached gymnast Julissa Gomez, noted what was happening. In 1989, he confronted Christie about her dangerous eating habits and warned her about the risks. He arranged for her to meet with doctors and nutritionists, hoping to help her recover. But Christie, overwhelmed by the pressure to meet impossible standards, refused the help. Her weight eventually fell to just 47 pounds. In 1990, she stopped competing and quit elite gymnastics in January of the following year. Her body could no longer withstand the demands of the sport. Despite her health struggles, she remained determined and dreamed of returning to competition. In the years that followed, Christie saw many doctors, was hospitalized several times, and received psychiatric care, but nothing seemed to work. By 1994, her condition had worsened. She was admitted to Research Medical Center in Kansas City. Weighing only 47 pounds, her organs had begun to fail. She spent more than 2 weeks in the hospital, surrounded by her family, her fiancé, and friends. On July 26th, just 8 days after her 22nd birthday, Christy died. Her death shocked the gymnastics world and led to changes in how the sport addressed health. Programs were launched to educate athletes about nutrition, mental health, and body image. Even TV networks like NBC and ABC stopped mentioning gymnasts' weights during broadcasts. Christy's story sparked serious conversations about the unrealistic demands placed on athletes. While those changes can't bring her back, they have helped create a safer environment for future gymnasts. Christy Henrik was a talented athlete with a bright future. Her life ended far too soon, but her story left a lasting impact. Even today, her legacy continues to push for better care, awareness, and support for athletes across all sports. It was July 1998, during the Goodwill Games in New York City. Sang Lan, a 17-year-old Chinese gymnast, was preparing for the vault, an event she had trained for her entire life. Just a year earlier, she had become China's national vault champion. With her talent and discipline, many believed she had a bright future ahead. During warm-ups, Sang was practicing a basic move called a timer vault. It's considered a low-risk skill, meant to help gymnasts feel comfortable before competing. But something went wrong. Sang lost control in the air and landed on her head. The impact caused a severe spinal cord injury. She couldn't move. Sang was rushed to Nassau University Medical Center. Doctors performed emergency spinal realignment and fusion surgery, but the damage was permanent. Sang was paralyzed from the chest down. In the years that followed, Sang claimed the fall wasn't just an accident. She said that a coach from another team had walked into the vault area during her warm-up and removed the safety mat just as she took off. This sudden change caused her to lose control. Sang tried to report what had happened while still in the hospital, but officials dismissed her claims. They said she was confused due to possible brain trauma and didn't believe her account. Sang had been one of China's top athletes. Now she was confined to a hospital bed. Her career and independence were gone. Her injury made international news. While recovering at Mount Sinai Hospital, she received support from celebrities like Leonardo DiCaprio, Celine Dion, and Christopher Reeve. However, her private life became complicated. She came under the care of K.S. Liu and his wife Gina Huhong, a Chinese-American couple. They were supposed to support her recovery, but Sang later said they became too controlling and limited her ability to speak about the incident. She claimed they promised to cover her medical and living expenses, but those promises were never kept. Instead, Sang said she was left without proper care. When Sang returned to China in 1999, the government praised her strength and used her story as a symbol of perseverance. But over time, she felt forgotten. She said the same organizations that once celebrated her no longer offered support. Her condition worsened, and although she received therapy, she could only perform basic tasks like eating or using a computer. Her legs weakened further from lack of movement. Even so, Sang worked to build a public life. She became a TV host, continued public speaking, and even carried the Olympic torch during the 2008 Beijing Olympics. But behind her public image, she remained frustrated by what she felt was an injustice. In 2011, 13 years after her fall, Sang filed a lawsuit in the United States. She named several parties, including AOL Time Warner, USA Gymnastics, TIG Insurance, and Liu and Huhong. The lawsuit claimed the accident was preventable and that those involved failed to care for her properly afterward. She sought $1.8 billion in damages, also accusing Liu and Huhong of trying to discredit her and control her life for their own benefit. Sang said they made harmful statements about her and tried to damage her reputation, including spreading false stories about her personal life. The most disturbing were allegations that someone in the household acted inappropriately while she was recovering. A police report was filed in relation to these claims. Public opinion split. Some supported Sang, saying she was finally speaking out. Others accused her of being ungrateful or manipulated by outside influences. Still, Sang defended her statements, saying it wasn't just about money. It was about bringing the truth to light and holding people accountable. By 2011, her legal battle was still ongoing. Although many parts of the case faced delays due to legal time limits, Sang remained determined. Her story is one of strength, loss, and the long struggle to be heard.